You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line.
Councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Welcome to Anonymous Bites Back. It is Cinco de Mayo. It is April 5th, 2022. Sorry about we didn't show up last show. I don't even know how many websites we're still on right now. Apparently, okay, I guess we're only on Another Voice. The YouTube that we were supposed to get back didn't get reactivated. That's unfortunate. But we still are available on Another Voice. I guess we're on Facebook today and Twitch, VK, and OKRU. All right. Well, you see a lot of stuff happened in the last couple of weeks since we were last off. But I guess the biggest news, I don't know, at least stateside, had to be Roe v. Wade with that court opinion document that was leaked. And I don't know. To be honest, like, I've been saying this a while, and, people have been asking me this about, like, how do you think, this is going to, especially like with Julian Assange's case, like, how do you think it will play out in the United States? And, like, honestly, I couldn't even tell you. Like, at this point, because the way the courts have been so much lately, it's like people are literally getting away with left and right, and then when it comes to these weird decisions, that we thought were rights, just get taken away from us. I can't tell. Like, the courts are so unpredictable. Yeah, I mean, like what's going on with, like, is there, like, Alamo, is there, like, protests in the streets going on where you're at about this? Really? Yeah, like, yeah, I do remember, like, I guess there is like a Planned Parenthood, and, where I am, it's pretty frugal, and, so is a bunch of other stuff that's not commonly accepted across the United States. It's okay here. And, I was surprised, even last year when I saw protests during COVID in front of the Planned Parenthood. Like, I guess there's some people around the area that didn't want it around, and, I didn't realize that they were I knew in some areas they were harassing people. The anti-abortion people were harassing the people at Planned Parenthood, but I never actually thought it would actually happen in my own area, especially with it being so open about everything, especially where I live. It was really weird. And I've also heard, across the country, some of even the doctors and the staff that run some of these abortion clinics, even they are like looking over their backs. I didn't realize that these activists actually have physically attacked the medical personnel in these places. Yeah, that's about what I was seeing. Is about 10 or 20 people in front of the Planned Parenthood, but they got to go up a ways into the building, because the gate is nowhere near where the thing is. That they're not allowed on the property. But I didn't realize that they went that far. They even harassed the ladies trying to get the abortions. I don't know. What'd you say, Crasher? Yeah, me either. Because it's not like they're going to be paying for that baby in the long run. I said before the show, the average cost about how much it costs to raise a kid, and on average, it's more than $1 million from the age of 0 to 18. I just, I don't. This has to be one of the weirder times. Like, I thought when we were under Donald Trump's I forgot to turn on your guys' audio. I thought when we were under Donald Trump's presidential, when he was president, I thought everything was weird. But now it seems like everything's weirder. Biden just doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing, and now constitutional rights are disappearing.
But is that Biden? Biden's not trying to do that, is he?
No. I'm not blaming it on one president. I'm just saying America in its like history is just going backwards or something, or a downward spiral.
I don't know. I think it's a superficial play.
You think so?
It's all distraction. It's all distraction from the bigger plays that they're trying to make. It's weird. COVID was a PSYOP experiment to make us compliant to whatever they're trying to do right now. And it's a waiting game, but it'll be too late by the time we figure out what it is that they're trying to pull.
Me personally, I don't think the government. I honestly don't think that the government's even smart enough to come up with a plan. But that's just me.
Well, I disagree with you. I think the government is a very schemy, clever individual.
Well, no, they can always get a plan together for the military-industrial complex or some scam they're running like the COVID. That's already in place, and that'll run perfect. From their side of it. But as far as like people getting rights or continued recognition of them, that's something different. They're going to lock you down while they open up things for themselves at the top, because the warring and all that goes on unabated. And plus, like Ukraine, that was a plan. That's been a plan for a while. That went in 2014. So they've been on that for years already.
Yeah, Ukraine is a political football between NATO and Russia. Either way, someone wins. They both team up on the place, go east and west, try to split it in half, most likely. But Russia couldn't get far enough in. They nearly took Kiev, but there was too many soldiers.
Well, we're still dragging Europe in. We're gonna drag the European Union and Europe into another war.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time. Yeah, before the shins in World War.
Yeah, because they let us in and do what we did in 2014. We're gonna instigate this whole thing.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before another non-NATO country or something else says fuck this and gets involved. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, they're all given weapons.
Yeah.
The Spanish, the Denmark. Everybody's lining up sides, so it's happening already.
Yeah.
You're already at war. In fact, when you're shipping weapons in and picking sides, you're already pretty much at war.
Oh,
You just
yeah.
haven't declared it yet.
Yeah, we figured. I heard Putin did a kissy poo back to Israel for the Ministry of Defense. What they said a couple days ago.
Oh, is it that Hitler quote, that Lavrov? Is that the one?
No. When the Ministry of Defense said that the Jews create the most anti-Semitic acts against their own kind than any other people, and then one of the politicians or the head, was it the president or somebody in Israel, basically got an apology from Putin for what the Ministry of Defense said. There are a lot of Russians in Israel.
Yeah, there is some truth to that. It's some of the things they create do backfire on themselves. But that happens to everybody.
Oh no, I'm Jewish. I didn't get the anti-Semitism mostly growing up. Mostly grew up to the Jewish jokes, your friends throw all the pennies on the floor and telling you to pick it up. Then I kick them in the balls for saying that, but not too much anti-Semitism growing up. But then again, this is a different time now,
You mean nothing too serious for you, though?
Yeah, nothing too serious, but not like how some of the stuff I've heard recently, where the Jewish schools and temples are getting, shot down. There's been several in the last few years. You didn't hear about stuff like that when I was a kid. Or at least I didn't hear about it.
No, I've never heard that.
Yeah. That's why all of them.
Live, by the way?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know.
Yeah. I don't know. There has to be some weird angle why Putin apologized for that statement. I have no idea for what their Ministry of Defense said. I do find that really weird. What kind of edge does Israel have over Russia? Other than the fact that it has 25% of the population in 20% of the population in Russia is actually Jewish, was specifically around I think it's Moscow mostly.
Well, there's a lot of Ukrainians in there too. It's a European mix in a lot of ways.
Even in Moscow before I didn't see any Ukrainians, but I think I wasn't talking to a whole bunch of people.
Aren't there quite a few Ukrainians in Israel also? That's...
Oh yeah, I met Ukrainians in almost every country. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Even when I was in, especially when I was in Sharm el Sheikh, Yeah, in Egypt, yeah, I met several Ukrainians. Even when I was in Dubai, I met a Ukrainian. She's doing photos for like my wife. Yeah.
Well, now my understanding is like I think the link is really Chabad. Putin's got a lot of support from Chabad in Russia, and I'm without understanding all the nuances. I mean, I think that's where the biggest link is. So I mean, there is a religious link there.
Yeah, there has to be.
You have the Orthodox also, but I mean, they're a powerful group, that's pushing Putin as well.
Yeah, but the weird thing is that Putin didn't address the Pope. He just addressed the president of Israel. That was weird,
Well, it was anti-Semitic, wasn't it? The Pope. Pope's not Jewish, is he?
Technically, no. Technically, no, and yes. I mean.
Well, he's actually, right now, I mean, the Pope is, well, he's been a communist pretty much his whole life. The Pope is in there now. Plus he's a Jesuit. He's not even supposed to be there by their own rules. But you have to understand Catholics to know how they waffle on some things like that. But yeah, he's a supporter. I mean, he's not against them. And the big ecumenical, everybody getting together, that's been going on since Vatican II, like in the early '60s. So still continuing. Allegedly. Yeah. I don't know, I'm not into the Catholic side of things like I used to be, but that's where I see these religious people get involved in all these governments, and so they end up getting dragged into all these wars and all these issues from the things they push and their support and so forth. So I mean, in that sense, there's always something backfiring, whether it's on the Jews or Catholics, because they get involved in so many things, so you don't always get your way.
Yeah, it was even the Taliban told Putin to not do that, and he didn't to not invade Ukraine.
Taliban is
Yeah, seriously, they did. They told him not to invade Ukraine.
Well, they're not violent people, are they?
Hey, hey, look, the Afghans, I mean, they kicked out 2 empires, man. If anybody's got bragging rights right now, it's them, if you ask me. I mean.
Oh, yeah, they kicked out, what is it, the Iranian Empire? It was like thousands of years ago than the American Empire. Now.
Well, my source says that the war's still on, actually. Like, there's a theory that, well, not really a theory, there's some reports saying that the Americans are in Pakistan next to the Afghanis' food supply and water supply.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that.
They're negotiating for a better government by not sending them food. So the Americans still have an advantage. They're just they're not at war with them. They're just playing resources with them now.
Yeah, the same thing happens a lot with the stand states. You just don't hear about it because news is not what I would call in that part of the world. News isn't news. It's whatever is allowed to be on the news is news. If you know what I mean.
It's not reported. It's not.
Yeah,
reported,
yeah.
my
Especially.
sources tell me what's happening.
Yeah, like when I was in Uzbekistan, it was very weird to hear about any kind of murder or anything else other than news, other than how good the country is. That was the only kind of news you would hear. But yeah, not at these. Even at the border conflicts, you would only hear about it through like word of mouth, like when the Tajiks were threatening to break a water power plant over the border. So yeah, that part of the world, just news is not really news. It's if you do hear news coming out of those countries, it probably isn't real.
Well, we're so we're centered about ourselves. You get like the European, you get mostly like an American news. From our standpoint, you don't hear much about smaller countries. it's all like top issues, and us versus Russia, or us versus the EU. Kind of Eurocentric, I guess. You don't hear much African news or Asian news, unless you go look for it, on other channels.
Yeah, there's still a few skirmishes in the Congo that they don't report it.
I don't think that country has had a government in 60 years. Am I right?
I don't know about Congo. I mean,
Yeah. One of those countries.
there's examples of that. But, well, hell, even Belgium didn't have a government for a while. I think they were doing better. I don't know if they ever got one completely or not, but they were kind of running on what do they call that? Almost like a fail-safe mode, since they couldn't create a proper government, things were just going along as they were and actually doing better, without all this manipulation.
Yeah.
African countries, you got me, man. Yeah, like I say, you don't hear anything. Well, that's the problem. You don't get any real news.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's suppressed.
Well, there is no free press in that part of the world, though. Yeah.
And then with all this war footage and war stuff now, I mean, I just honestly, I don't believe any of it, because you hear some of these stories, weeks later, it's like they were just gaslighting you, or it was some propaganda, just both sides are going to find bodies. Obviously, they're everywhere,
What do you guys think will happen out of this ICC case? Because I personally don't think anything will happen unless they have another squad like the Mossad had at the end of the Nazi German trials. But do you think anything that comes out of the ICC will ever amount? I don't think so.
ICC, what are they complaining about?
The ICC criminal case against the war crimes on the leaders of the Russian military, because the only way, I remember when the Nazi trials were happening, the only reason they got any of those people into that courtroom was because was the first creation of the wasn't the Mossad created initially just to get those guys?
That I don't know. I mean,
They were finding them all over the world.
They were active in hunting them down later on, but yeah, I don't know if that was why they were created. I guess that's possible.
Yeah, I don't see any of. I mean, unless some of them are like stupid enough to like leave Russia, I don't think anything will really happen to these guys. It's just like, it's great and all, you guys want to charge, these people with war crimes and for crimes against humanity, but as the court stands on its own, it doesn't really have its own enforcement other than the other countries enforcing it.
Yeah, I think even and they're pretty selective about who they go after. I mean, of all the crimes that get committed, Well, I think I don't know if it's that court or one of the others has gone after like Bush and Cheney for what they did 20 years ago, and so there's a few countries they can't go to.
Yeah,
apparently, but
we can't.
It's pretty lukewarm.
Yeah, we can't join because of Bush Jr. Apparently, he's got a case against him with the ICC.
Yeah, and if it's like I say, I mean, given the kind of war crimes we've done the last 20 years, I mean, I don't feel like we really should be pointing at anybody, but of course that's more of an international court there. It's just too collective. It's just.
I think the only people that they've ever been really to successfully get are some of these just these guys that get out of Africa. These where were they? Those guys that had the child soldiers and stuff like that. But other than that, I think those are the only people they've managed to round up recently. Like, I keep on hearing on the news that they keep on documenting and documenting, but if you look at the court's, like, track record, they have a pretty bad track record of getting anybody into that court, let alone prosecuting them, you know? Like how they gonna get Putin into that courtroom?
Doubt it.
No, well, they'll talk the talk right now, and they're going to be acting tough. I mean, it's kind of what they do. I mean, but like you say, since they don't have any kind of arm to actually go after any of these people on their own, it's like the UN. It's just like you can pass resolutions all day, but you know, as long as the U.S. or Russia want to do something, they really don't care. It's just very selective.
Damn, even naked and you show up. Oh well.
It'll all blow over too. That's the other thing. I mean, politically, it'll all blow over. Like as soon as it's over, they have some ceasefire, then we just go back to normal or our alleged normal, you know, and kind of let it go. And then we'll talk about it for a few months and then let it go until the next crisis.
Yeah.
I really thought Europe would get more pissed off about what we did in Ukraine, because you kind of had to see that coming. You know, it was obvious what we're doing.
Yeah.
The evil empire on the march, you know.
Well. Yeah, us getting involved. Yeah.
I mean, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, you know, the American empire is doing what it does. You know, we're aligning, always moving against somebody, moving against Russia, you know, continue our advance. You know. It doesn't stop. You just lose a war in one country and then you hop over and do one that's going to be 5 times worse. You know, it's just, the logic's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well,
There is
know.
a plan. I don't
Yeah,
think
of
it's
course.
a good plan. There is a plan out there. You can see it in motion all the time. It's just,
Yeah. Yeah, it's you know, there's got to be a reason, you know, all these countries are dumping billions of dollars, and they say, you know, military equipment. There is a larger plan to all of that. Nobody, you don't just get anything for free. Come on, it doesn't work like that.
yeah, and sure. I mean, you know, if anybody gets taken care of, it's the military-industrial complex. They are,
Yeah.
you know, especially nowadays, they are always selling weapons. There's always the next war. It's just like they got all. You can see with Afghanistan, it's like, oh shit, we're losing that one. Well, then we have to create another one, you know, to keep all this going, sell more stuff, and sure enough, it looks like they're shipping all their old stuff from Vietnam era. And
Yeah, I was surprised about that from all of the stuff the Russians are using. I said, bro, like I've seen better vehicles in third world countries. Like some of that shit is just like, what the fuck?
It's just what they have. They have so much built up military gear that they probably just use older trucks with more modern missiles.
Well, yeah, I get that. You know,
they were even surprised here. There was a National Guard unit that was getting equipment ready, and somebody was like, man, it's like, where did you guys dig up that old shit? I mean, literally, this is like stuff out of Vietnam era, man. You're like, you thought that, I would have thought all that stuff would have been scrapped years ago, but they pulled out a mothball somewhere, man, you know.
yeah, we got a few. Yeah, we got a few scuds somewhere from 20 years ago.
Yeah,
If
well,
it's a
it's
working
just
truck,
like,
if it's a working truck, I wouldn't criticize it. To be honest, you just refit it with more modern missile systems and go with that. But other than that, they have their modern tanks that are quite light. They're smaller than the Abrams, but they're better over muddy land.
Yeah, I was also
yeah, they're
surprised.
putting their, I don't see like too much first generation stuff going head to head. You know, there was, at
Usually,
least with the tanks. Now maybe the missiles and some of the other stuff. I mean, that's what's going to make this whole thing a quagmire, because you're never going to The air forces are never going to go in there full blast because they don't want to get blown out of the air. Same with the tanks. You got all these anti-tank weapons, so it's going to turn into a quagmire pretty quick. Because nobody can afford to lose that kind of weaponry that fast.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like the Russians are really, I mean, they had their initial push, but I haven't seen much from them in the last few weeks. I think they're getting bogged down.
Yeah.
Or they're purposely, bogging themselves down. They either don't have the push or, they got a longer term plan maybe, but.
Well, as you see what the Russians are doing, they're trying to annex eastern side of Ukraine. So they're probably not up for a fight. They just want to keep what they fought for.
Yeah, they just want ports. But in the process of taking away that port, it's also used to get all of the wheat and good products out of Ukraine, which feeds more people than what Russia does. So more people are being impacted by that. But
Russia
yeah,
doesn't
that's
have farmland.
well, it's actually it's expensive, for them to move their ships, from the Pacific all the way back to where they can actually use them. It's a lot of fuel for them. It's just, they're just looking for a come up for ports. This isn't the first time they try to do something like that either.
Well, we're always blocking their pipelines, blocking their port access. We've been at war with Russia, on the, whether you call it the Cold War or now it's heating up a little bit, for ever since the end of World War II. I mean, it's been constant.
Yeah.
It's an American empire, man. You got to think empire here. It's what it is.
Yeah, I remember I actually thought the war was going to be over in like 3 days. I was actually surprised. Now I'm like, it'll probably, if it goes on, if it goes on like this, it'll be just like another a standoff, Although, you even hear about those mysterious explosions that are happening behind enemies' lines and nobody knows what's going on?
Say what?
Something in Kazakhstan and Kursk and some places blown up, like probably weapons plants.
Yeah, they're way behind enemy
Sabotaged.
lines. Yeah, they're getting sabotaged.
Tit for tat, most likely.
Yeah. Most likely some intelligence agency. Oh, why did that ammo depot catch on fire? Rob was smoking back there. Oh God.
Yeah, it's a strange mix of weapons going through. It's funny how some of those what do you call them, like NATO countries, a lot of the Eastern Bloc there, they still have a lot of their old Soviet equipment, and it's just like they're shoving it all into Ukraine to get rid of it. It's like,
Yeah. I'm just surprised they haven't shipped more aerial vehicles at this point. Like they said that Putin will get mad, but who cares what the fuck? If he's fucking mad, every fucking 5 seconds he's fucking flashing his nukes. Nobody cares.
Well, that's the thing. He is flashing his nukes to the point. If he's threatening nukes, you would be more careful.
Yeah, he's not the first country. He's not the first guy to do that, though.
No, you would take it seriously.
shit, we do that all the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say Lil Kim Boy does that every other month. Look what I got! I got the big penis, or whatever the fuck he says he has.
He has a new bigger penis every week, right? Yeah. Yeah, when you're starting from the ground floor like he is, I mean, of course you do. Yeah, it's always going to be bigger and better. Got to build a Saturn V. You'd be the Earth, the planet crusher, and we're.
Yeah, Kim reminds me of that kid we used to pick on in high school, and now he actually has stuff, Yeah, I will kill all of you. Now he actually has something to kill all of us.
He grew up to be a true psychopath. Now we all got to watch out. He's got a chip on his shoulder.
He was actually schooled in Switzerland under a pseudonym, under a pseudo and under a fake documents too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's had it good. I mean, he's, of all the North Koreans, he's by far had the best life. Well, I mean, just look at him. He's what, about 300 pounds, and the rest of them are about 100. So he's like, he's done well.
On some level, yeah. I don't know. I heard his sister's worse than he is, though. Actually,
Yeah.
sister's a real fucking psycho. It'd be actually
Yeah, but
scarier.
different.
It'd be actually scarier if she was running the country than him.
Well, she has the rhetoric anyway. Yeah, North Korea is like I don't know, what do you even call them? It's like a hardcore.
They call them hermit kingdoms, but I don't even know if like open air prison even really kind of comprehends what's going on there. It's almost like a dystopia, you know?
Yeah, it's
Everybody-
like a
everybody-
communist dystopia. That's the
Yeah.
good word for it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not true communism because there's more poor people than there are wealthy. The only wealthy people are the ones in the military, which makes absolutely no sense to everybody else.
Well, has there ever been true communism? It always seems like it's really an oligarchy. It's like under the guise that it's going to be communism. You set up some kind of oligarchy, basically, or plutocracy. There's always these guys at the top that seem to do well and have everything they want, and everybody else gets fucked over.
It's a military oligarchy, last I recall. It's not. It's an autocracy with a military oligarchy just below it.
In all practices of communism, I don't think that there's been one example done on a large scale that's ever been successful on any scale. I don't think there's been, even Myanmar right now, and Myanmar, or it used to be Burma. Was it communist at that point? I think it was. Yeah, there's Cuba. Then there was the USSR and the other Soviet states. It didn't even work there. Like I can't name one large implementation where it actually worked. Maybe in the small scale it would work. A couple hundred people within a hippie commune, maybe. But once you start getting these vast numbers, there are obvious signs that there are people on the top and people who are at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, even in America, it's the same way, except that the lower and middle classes actually get a little bit more here. I mean, we can complain about capitalism and all that all day long and its problems, but it seems to give the average guy on the lower end a lot more than the communists say they're going to give you. But I mean, the systems are all basically the same. You all got these huge militaries. You got an elite. You got some kind of military complex.
Well, my uncle used to tell me when he lived in a communist Hungary, he said you never had to worry about where you lived. He says, but you had a choice, right? When you go to the breadline, you have a choice of only one thing. That was the thing. You didn't have to worry about where you lived, but food was always scarce, and your options were always the same. There's only one of this, or one of that. There are no options in a communist society.
Yeah, no, the Russians were, they had like their own like supermarkets and shopping malls. At the same time, there was the ability for the upper class to get what they needed at their special stores, while what they were giving the people was this bread line, one choice. Oh, this is all we've got, which was bullshit, but. It's just a means of control.
I'm going to say, communism doesn't look good. Doesn't look bad on paper. It's just not how society ever pans out, and that's just the way it's been since the beginning of time. There's always people on the top, and there's always people on the bottom. That's how it's been since the beginning of time.
yeah, whether you call the system, like the kings and queens, running, and royalty, there's always royals and there's serfs, it's always the same dichotomy. There's not too many people in the middle that can fight back. They have to keep, the guys at the top have to keep you poor and hungry to keep you down.
Yeah. There has to be somebody who's practically working for nothing. Sorry, but that's, if everybody was on top, who'd do all the work?
No, it has to continue. Well, and that's the problem with communists. Either everybody's not on the same page. That's the problem. No, everybody doesn't want to work. So right there, the scamming starts right away. Then it's just like, well, I don't want to work, so somebody has to work a little harder because I don't want to, and pull my load. So yeah, I mean, it just decays from that point. If they truly crack the whip and say, all right, all you motherfuckers, every one of you is going to some industrial plant, and you're all going to do the same thing. They all hand you a shovel, well, then maybe, and there was a guy cracking a whip on you if you get a little line, then maybe, you're all on the same page, but it didn't really work that way.
No, it didn't even work that way. Even the USSR was pretty bad.
Yeah, there's just not the incentives.
I don't know.
And so we all end up around the burn barrel with our vodka.
Oh. I don't know.
I guess here you end up on Skid Row with shooting up your drugs and fentanyl.
Even that's even the weird thing is that even like recently I've noticed that homeless people are a protected class. I didn't even know that. Like, those people get away with everything.
Yeah, they didn't have to wear a mask. Who was out there beating them over the head to put the mask on the homeless? There were a group that just got away with it. They're over there mingling. Everybody else is locked down. They were still roaming the streets.
Yeah, I'm like one of my. I guess we lost that guy. Guess we lost the other guy. Oh well. Guess I said something.
Pop back in.
Yeah. But no, like the homeless people, like my one of the homeless people at one of my friends is a security guard, and he tells me like cops don't do anything about the homeless people because they can't do anything. They literally can't do anything.
Well, they've stopped. Yeah, the cops. Well, if you don't have a DA that's going to go after them and put them away, then they're only going to play the game with throwing them in and taking it. Then it's not worth it to the cop. It's like you're just wasting his time too. So yeah, well, at least out in your area. Down here, honestly, we have something called Haven for Hope here. But what they've done is almost forcibly, if you're on the street here and you've got like a social security check, or if you're elderly and you have a social security check, they're forcing you to get in one of these apartments. But then
Really?
They tell you what to do, and they got all kinds of rules, and get a hold of your meds and everything. They like take over your life, but they do provide you a one of these kind of loft style apartments. It keeps them off the street, but to a degree. You don't see like these hordes walking around, but at the same time, it's like you're forcing people to do things, which only gets worse if you let it go too far. It's.
Yeah,
I've heard
the long-term shelters here. They don't want to stay in them because they make them to have drug tests. They don't want to stop using drugs. I've heard that multiple times.
Yeah.
We have the Salvation Army too, but they do the same thing as you guys. They have to give them their Social Security check or whatever they get to pay for room and board and work them. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say it helps. I mean, they're not as. It was never, as bad as like California or around here for sure. But there used to be a lot, hanging around the corners, doing their panhandling and all that, and they've kind of gotten that under control. But at the same time, like if you go down there, they put in a big bus station right near that place, and I mean, it's just like a huge. I don't even know what to call it. There's just like at least in that area, there's still a lot of transient activity.
Yeah.
But they've organized it in a way that, it works pretty good. I mean, it's a, despite the fact you're forcing these people to do things they don't want, it's a little better for the rest of us in the other areas of town. Have to deal with all this, but I don't know. That's like abortion. There's like no perfect solution there.
Yeah, we're gonna get on that in a few minutes. But yeah, I can't. I don't think I can. I don't think I've gone a day since I moved back here where I haven't seen a homeless person. Not one day. I mean, that's how bad. That's how bad it is where I am. It didn't used to be. It didn't used to be like this either.
Well, it keeps expanding. That's. Keep bringing more in, looks like, and they're getting more violent over time. I guess as things get worse.
The thing is, like, I don't understand it. The climate here is not getting warmer. In fact, it's actually getting cooler, more towards the areas where they're moving. And the cops, maybe it's because the cops don't want to do anything about pretty much drug crimes. Drug crimes now are they don't even bother you with, like, unless you have like a significant amount. So maybe that's why they stay. I don't know. It's just like, even if they had money, there's no way that they could afford an apartment.
No. Well, what gets me though is there's this weird, especially out there, you see it more. It's just like there's this, on one side of it, you force people to continue, business owners and homeowners, you have to have your sewer hooked up. You have to have water or else they come and condemn your place, right? You're not going to get away with not having utilities. But at the same time, these people get to like camp out and take a shit on your sidewalk in front of your business, and like there's no big public health, I mean, there's public health concerns, but it's not like they really take them serious. So it's like there's two different systems. One side you're forcing like a person to spend thousands of dollars to keep up the normal system that's there, and at the same time, others that just want to be dregs or do their drugs or whatever can actually congregate, take a shit on the sidewalk, and it's like, well, they let that go. It's just, it's a weird enforcement.
Yeah.
And so, what's the incentive for the guy to keep doing it the right way and spending all these thousands of dollars to keep something up when other people don't have to?
Exactly.
I think it just, brings everybody down over time. What? That's what's good about the, it's like, look, if the standard is, we all have to have water and facilities, then get these people, some kind of cheaper housing or block apartments or whatever you do, and get them in a place that's modern and has facilities. I mean, that would seem like, the better way to do it.
I think so too.
Right.
But at the same time, we're dealing around with people who hear voices and can't tell the difference between what's real and what's not. And like, I'm just thinking like, like I had one guy come through my office tell me he heard voices that tell him to burn things. Like how do I tell an individual like that? You get an apartment. 5 minutes later, he's burning the place down.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to realize, I mean, the kind of people you're dealing with too. It's just, it's that same kind of thing. Sometimes there's these human created conditions that there's just no solution for. You can't, past a certain point, you can't force people to do what they don't want to do or don't have to do. But, as like say a public health standards, it's like, look, either everybody has to have facilities or they don't. You can't have this, what's going on now, most of society has to participate, but you know, if these others don't, well, then they can just roam around and cause all this havoc and fuck everybody's business up, and you know, that's not a solution either.
Yeah, like my uncle, they had you know, some homeless people that were decided the back of his business was going to be their house, and they were lighting fires and shit, you know, and you know, and my uncle owns like it's like a what is it, oil place, you know, it does the car oil and shit, and they said they can't have they have fires down there. I guess they called the police like 30 times. I had to make up some lie for them to get them out of there. But that's literally what it takes to get these people to not live. Like, and they technically they weren't even allowed to be living back there because of them lighting fires next to a place that's draining people's oil.
Yeah, that sounds like a problem.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
Yeah. So do we? You know, I mean, it's. The solution isn't to let them do what they want, because that just brings down the rest of society. You know, what you'll see happen over time if it goes on too long is like what happens in Brazil. Is, you know, you have all these, you know, the business owners will align on their own to have their own mercs and security, and they're just going to start taking people out. You know, they're not going to lose their fucking businesses because the government doesn't want to get rid of, you know, somebody that's, you know, harassing them essentially and doesn't want to leave the sidewalk. You know, it just
like I got this one thing right. There's this place on what is this, Venice? It's on Venice and like David. It's like some weird cross street, right? I've seen the city tear down this encampment at least 10 or 15 times, and within 3 days, somehow these guys, same guys, put all their shit back, build up this encampment again, and there's not a little bit of, there's like 20 people living back there, you know, and these are like, they got like some sort of like homeless hammers or whatever the fuck they do, but they put some like little like pieces of wood and shit together, and it actually looks like an encampment, you know, like just getting rid of their shit is not a solution either. I don't know.
Yeah, I just you have to be consistent about your standards. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's, you know, because then at the same time, you know, these businesses they'll figure out a way too. They'll just go, well, you know, hey, fuck it, you know, if these guys can do whatever they want, then I can do whatever I want, you know, and they will find a way.
Yeah, they will.
I don't know what you know, I'm not real in depth with California. They spend all this money in these initiatives and everything, but I've never really seen them like in any big way, like try to get rid of the homeless problem. It's like something they want to leave there so they can continue to milk money out of the government.
I've been saying that for a while. You know how much money they spent in the last 10 years at the homeless problem? Just guess how many millions of dollars they've spent on it.
Oh, it'd be billions, yeah.
Yeah. It's a little over $1 billion. A little over $1 billion in 10 years, and there's still just as many, if not more, homeless people than there was before.
Yeah, because they're like just trying to fix the problem at the edges. You know, there's $1 billion over 10 years. Okay, so 100 million. Well, that doesn't go very far. I mean, given the numbers, you're going to have to come up with a lot more money than that.
Oh.
Or you get it, you know, you could do it the old way. Hey, you just throw them all in jail, and we'll get chain gangs, and we'll have them cleaning up the side of the roads and fixing shit and digging.
Oh no, some of those guys purposely stay in jail to commit a crime for like one day. They get out just so they can go back in. I've seen that shit.
Yeah.
Because when they're in jail, they don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, it used to be a little more longer term of a proposition. It's like, okay, you can fuck up, but we're going to keep you in jail a couple of years, and you're going to be on a chain gang doing some work. You know, it's like, I'm going to be just fucking around. And then that was the deterrent to going to jail because you sure as hell didn't want to do that. That's it.
Maybe we should go on to the next topic. What do you think will happen with Roe v. Wade?
Well, because there's no really good solution to that problem, it'll be a continuing football back and forth. I mean, even if they change things now, it'll always be a political football. It's a great way to divide the country. They kind of focused on it. They won't get rid of it because they need it around to keep everybody divided, continually divided. But if they ban it, you're going to go back to the old way. Midwives doing stuff in the alley. There's going to be some women messed up and hitting the emergency rooms because of it. But people they're going to find a way to do what they want. They'll get an abortion somewhere else, cross state lines, wherever they got to go. It won't go away.
Yeah, that's not even where like my head goes to, as far as the full, getting rid of the fetus. Like what about the prescription type of abortions? They have the pills to get rid of the fertilized eggs, and they can induce some hormones into you that'll actually induce a premature, fetus. But I'm just thinking will this, if it goes that far, like there's millions of dollars in medicine and stuff and companies have been investing in, they're gonna fuck those people over too. I don't know.
I just it's.
I'm just pretty weird about it.
Solving that problem.
I'm just
I think intrinsically, people, you have to know that it's wrong. You're killing a baby or a potential, baby. But it's what's the other possibilities and the other answers are no better. That's just one of them. I don't think you can fix. But if you're not going to enforce people using birth control methods, and if you're not going to enforce any, if there's no punishment for these baby mamas and baby daddies for continuing to crank out babies, and potentially loading up society, they just can continue to run around doing what they're doing. I mean, you at least got to sterilize them. You got to do something. And that's a bad solution. I mean, it's that's pretty far.
I was telling you, man, some of these people, they can't, I was telling you about this story. Somebody told me about that story before we went on the air. It's some people really shouldn't be parents. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. You think people would use their own heads? Okay, don't be out there,
shooting up heroin while you're pregnant. I've seen that.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be some standard, right? It's you should, as a woman, you should know better than that. Or, as a guy, it's look, if you're not in, as the couple, if you're not in a position to bring somebody into the world, well, then don't fucking do it. I mean.
That's what my friend's mom should have done, but her son came out with fetal alcohol syndrome because she drank the whole pregnancy.
Yeah, but it's just, because you're going to have a kid that's messed up, Hey, if you get your shit together in 20 years, well, yeah, you can have a kid then, you got through that period, but you weren't cranking out all these, messed up kids, loading up the rest of society with all your bullshit while you're allegedly trying to get your shit together, But nobody acts like that, You get down in that position, you're just hey, fuck it, I'm going to do whatever I want. Well, okay. And everybody else just does what they want too, and just evolves into chaos. But that's what gets me, is that there's no punishment for these people that continue to do this.
Well, that's because they
Solution is always load up society. You know, society has to pay, but hey, why do I want to pay for somebody else's fucking party? You know, or bad decision making? Why does that? You know, why does that come back on me? How come these motherfuckers don't have some punishment? You know, for what they're doing?
Well, that's the thing is like if Planned Parenthood didn't pay for most of this stuff, then there would there'd be more backlash. But you know, I think a lot of those, I think Planned Parenthood, I think they get a lot of their funding through like private donors though.
Yeah, it's a mix.
Yeah.
Some government pay in there, but yeah, you know, to me, you know, and I would say, you know, I'm not super religious, but I'm, you know, more bent that way. But it's just like you gotta be realistic at what your options are. You can't demand that, oh well, these babies have to be brought into the world, and then walk away as if that's the end of it. It's like no, hey, wait a minute, guys. It's like you wanted these kids here, find a way to pay for it.
Exactly.
But
That's something.
The churches don't want to pay for it. They want to virtue signal, but they don't want to pay for it. So their solution's not too good either. Unless they're going to start cranking out checks, man, you know, and finding all these social workers and all the other millions of people that you're going to need to make that work.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that. So that's the fraud of their argument.
Yeah, let's save all the baby and all the children, but they don't want to pay for it. Sounds about right.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. It's like, yeah, I mean, we all want it to be that way. We want a better world, but you know, that's not going to get you there. You guys virtue signaling and demanding it and changing laws and then walking away after you get your way.
That's how
Like,
these.
well, we did our part, you know. We got everything changed, and
Right.
you know, that's the political situation on that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the Roe v. Wade does get overturned, I don't suspect my state will do anything about it. So I don't think anything will change.
No, you'll. I don't. Nothing will change there. No.
Yeah, no, not where I live. Yeah, nothing will change.
Well, what will change is, so I mean, Texas will throw up their counter where they obviously it's like tripwire laws are getting ready, and then you'll get a bunch of Texas women over there coming in for abortions. I guess it'll be good for the bus lines, you know. I mean, they'll be trafficking more people back and forth.
Oh my God, you're horrible.
Good. Good for the oil company.
It's good for the oil company, yeah. People are moving out of state. What happens if all like the hot women, they just like leave like the South and they just move to my state? And then people have a problem with it. I don't know. Just why are them girls moving back to the West?
Yeah, maybe that's the way that California can get instead of all their citizens leaving California right now, they get some of them back. So let's see, they can come back for an abortion. They can go down to Skid Row and party down there for a while. Maybe they'll get lost and stay in California. If there is a plan there, I don't know.
I don't know.
But now, what kind of plan would a Gavin Newsom come up with anyway?
He pissed off a lot of people. He really did. We had the strictest fucking COVID laws anywhere besides anywhere in the United States, and we had it up until recently. You had to show everybody. Up until like a few months ago, we had to show we had our own vaccinations. even some of the cities still. No, that ended a few weeks ago. So like all the cities now, you can not wear a mask, but still, like I still wear a mask. Like I'm not gonna lie, there's some that I still hear about COVID going around. I'm still too. Give me about 5 years, maybe I'll get out of the PTSD. You know. I don't know. That shit almost killed my dad. I ain't gonna lie. Like if that shit almost killed my dad, I don't have a better chance. I don't want to risk it.
Well, the later variants ought to be, well, let's see, what is it? Usually more transmissible but less deadly. So, I mean, it should be, sorry, you're getting some kind of bug, but by now, my gosh.
You heard about China's zero COVID policy? So like
yeah,
now
they're locking down.
Yeah, now
they're some of the other cities now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So their plan is just to lock you down indefinitely until there's no more COVID cases. Yet there's no more people either.
Yeah, you got a town, you got a city of like 16 million, and you got what, about 10 or 15 cases. It's like, seriously?
No, Shanghai's got more than 16. No, it's like 22.
20. Yeah, it's just like, well, all they're doing is abusing their people, because what this is going to morph into, see, they got, by being so compliant, you've actually, the population of this planet has fucked themselves real good, because now they're going to lock you down for everything. And they figured out that locking you down actually, help like some of these environmental, it's like, oh, we need to get rid of these emissions and everything. And hey, that actually works. So it's falling right into the hands of the environmental agenda too, which will now come in and lock you down because, well, it's for the planet, so
yeah,
stay in your cubicle and work from home and don't go anywhere.
Well, most of us are not fortunate to have jobs where we can just, work remotely. I wasn't working remotely at all during the whole pandemic. I just tell my employer that. I'm not going to come in. I'm just going to work remotely. How the hell are you going to do that? we'll work remotely at home.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a paper shuffling lawyer or along those lines, somebody in government, I mean, at the same time, it's like, you have to have police out there in the real world.
Oh, one
you have
second.
to have maintenance people in the real world, painters and
Are you there?
Hello?
Yeah, I pulled my cord out of my device.
No, it's in the real world, you need people. People have to work outside, but these people don't get that. It's just like, oh, just shut it down, then all your production shuts down. You can't keep the stores stocked. You can't produce anything at your factories. It just looks to me like they're finding ways to shut down the economy, and they're doing a pretty good job at it. They're fucking everything up. Waste a bunch of money, blow out all the nation's budgets, and of course start a war here and there. Keep everybody on their toes.
They've kept. The car prices won't be even normal. They'll anytime near in the future because of this pandemic. They've created an artificial problem. Cars were getting cheaper and cheaper, but now they've created an artificial problem. Where cars are $10,000 more than they were a year ago for anything.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to push you into electrics, which cost more. So, that'd be another way to get you out of the market. It's like, you can't afford an electric car. Well, then, you don't get one.
Watch, I'll figure out a way to make americium, a nuclear powered car.
It'd be like that other guy I showed you with the wood stove on his back there. You'd be the Brazilian solution.
Yeah.
The steam bike.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't aware that they even had americium batteries. I was just like, well, I don't think anybody will say anything if I stockpile some americium. It's just, it's rare. I think I'm gonna need like 10,000 10,000 smoke detectors just to get enough to power a car. Well, a lot of people don't even know that there's nuclear materials in your smoke detector.
Smoke detectors, yeah. Yeah, tritium sites. Well, I think they got rid of tritium sites, but well, you got all this depleted uranium.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I think hydrogen fuel cells are the wave of the future, not these ones you plug into the wall. It just doesn't seem practical to me, you know. But that's just me. I see these motherfuckers. I see these motherfuckers fighting over all over those fucking cables all the time, every day. Every day, fighting over those cables where they can charge up.
Oh, really? You don't see that used much here. We got a few charging stations, but man, it's rare to even see somebody in there. But I mean, that whole thing's a scam. It's like, well, you're charging it up with fossil fuel fired power plant, and trying to convince yourself that how green you are because you got all these lithium batteries. You know, it's just like, come on.
Yeah.
It's like an environmental nightmare.
Yeah, the whole thing with the electric cars saving the planet. I just
And I've already, and all
yeah.
they do is piss people off in all these hybrids. They think they've got it all figured out, and then you remind them of all the, what goes into all that, and all they do is get pissed off at you.
Yeah, that's why I think the hydrogen cars are the truly only green cars, other than the production of palladium and platinum, and mining it. And, that still causes a lot of environmental damage, just even mining that stuff. But other than that, it's pretty much, safe for her. But I just don't see, until they can get like a not as rare material for the proton exchange membrane, I just don't see how any normal person can buy a hydrogen fuel car, let alone an electric vehicle. The average cost of an electric vehicle is like almost 60,000.
Yeah, they'd have to increase. They have to not increase, but create the infrastructure there for the hydrogen. To me, it seems like a solution. I mean, okay, it's more dangerous. You could, like natural gas, you could put some odorizer or something in it, but and at the same time, I kind of like it because it gets around this whole carbon, argument. It's just like, hey, it's hydrogen. There is no fucking carbon, you assholes. So
yeah, they even have
that.
They have a Philips station even here, and Toyota. I see the Toyota Mirays a lot, actually. They just look like Jetson cars. That they need to fix that. I would buy one, but like you can't drive it around the United States yet because there's not enough hydrogen fueling stations. There's only like one in my area.
Wow, at least you got one.
Yeah, one.
Well, it's like the compressed natural gas for the buses and everything. It took them forever, but they finally got that here. And hey, it works pretty good. All you need is, compressor station and all that. I mean, so there's one way around it, except, oops, it's natural gas, and that's become, it used to be kind of a green thing, but now that's not a green. It's got, it's a hydrocarbon.
Well, I've actually...
We have to get rid of the best solution we have, because it still has carbon, and it's like, whatever, man.
It actually reduces your carbon emissions by I heard it's like 99%. By burning CNG. The problem is that they're using methane. I wasn't aware of that. Well, methane doesn't have any problems by itself alone or being burnt as a gas. The problem is that it leaks, and when methane leaks, it's almost as bad as when you get carbon up there. It just makes everything hotter. That's a problem with methane. Yeah, methane heats up the atmosphere.
That's where hydrogen seems to be the way. So you don't have you get around the hydrocarbon.
Yeah.
People don't like carbon. Okay, you get around that argument. And if you burn it, you create steam and a little bit of water. and you're right back into the cycle. It seems to solve the problems better.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking hydrogen is the way to go. But this whole fucking electric car thing is a fad. And honestly, I don't think we have a choice at this point, other than to get just complete plugins.
But then the battery, it's just like I don't, that's like a contrived solution. It's like it's more complicated. It actually involves more processing, of even, well, like some of these things are like rare earth, elements. It's like, what the hell are we using that shit for? For fucking batteries. You're gonna run out quick.
Yeah, there are other ways to make a fuel cell. It's just honestly the technology's got to get a little better and a little more practical rather than using, rare earth elements that ain't gonna last.
You get pushed around by all the politics of it. And you end up with these bad solutions. High dollar, but it seems to fit like it's like the military industrial complex and all the rest of it. It seems to fit like the car manufacturers still do okay, because when the economy goes to shit, they get bailed out. They're like the banks, and then they get all this money for the battery production and electrics and all this, so they're taken care of. It's the little guy that doesn't have enough money to even buy the motherfucker. They sit there and say, well, here's your approved solution. If you want a car, you got to buy this $40,000 fucking electric.
What the government should do is have a buyback program if you wanted us to all go electric and help us out. But they wouldn't do that, would they? They only do that for guns.
That raises the price of used cars, man. I was surprised. I sold one here recently. I was surprised how much I got for the piece of junk. I was just like, wow.
Oh yeah, same here. Yeah,
like $500. You're like, holy crap, for that piece of junk.
Yeah, because there's a chip shortage, and even used cars are in decline.
Yeah, man, they just scarf them up, and then another thing I ran across here, these scrap yards around here. I mean, they used to keep piles of this and different things sorted out. It's like, and they were like totally barren, man. They had sold out. They're like, yeah, man, we're trying to get rid of we can't even get enough metal, and it's all getting shipped to China. They ship it out to some place in California that breaks it down to even smaller chips, and then they pack it in the containers and ship it overseas. And you're like, man, whatever. but I mean, it's like all these scrap yards are empty of metal right now.
Oh yeah. Same with I don't know. I mean, seems like every year the world just gets more fucked up than it was the year before. Consistently,
Yeah, we don't plan. Well, you can only grow so much. I mean, you're at a point now where it's like 8 billion people can't have everything that they want. I don't think you've ever been at that point where you just don't have enough resources.
No. Now we have the biggest battle in Europe in 70 years. Jesus Christ. What's wrong with the world?
Well, Europe hasn't learned. They've been in a condition for like 1,000 years or more now. It's like every 30 or 40 years, it's just like same old shit.
Apparently.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. They've got the scheme. Well, I could blame it on the royals, or I mean, it's a number of groups, but basically they've got everybody locked in a condition that works for the people at the top.
Yeah.
They keep the little guy running back and forth across borders and wars and all that. Keep everybody on their toes and rocking on their heels. But the guys at the top, they seem to do well. Just like through COVID. I mean, hey, they made money. The guys at the top are doing good.
Yeah.
It's the little guy that got fucked real good in that deal. So I mean, that's the overarching plan that always is in play. Is the big guys versus the little guys. But they've got a scheme, at least for sure in Europe, where they got you under control, man. And you got enough ethnics and tribal and all these hatreds going on that you can divide everybody real easy.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, look at America. What do we do? All we do is go in there and start shit in Ukraine, and hey, we can blow up Europe.
I like
and the Russians at the same time.
I was laughing today when I heard the news from Hungary. Hungary said, honestly, they said it would take us 3 years to get rid of the Russian oil and natural gas. They said we'd have to have 3 years to step down, and I said, what the fuck? 3 years? Taking 3 years to get off Russian oil? Jesus Christ. What the fuck?
See, you go through these peaceful periods where you think, oh yeah, okay, we'll get rid. Like say the Germans and others, for instance, it's like get rid of our coal-fired plants. Hell, we're going to get rid of our nuclear plants, and we're going to ship in Russian gas because it's clean, and everything's going to be hunky-dory until something happens, like right now. Then it's like, oh, you're dependent on them. Oh man, we need to get off of Russian gas. Well, yeah, good luck. You just spent 10 years fucking up your economy so you could get on Russian gas, and now look what happens. It's like you make yourself dependent. You have no. It's just, who comes up? If you're in the government and you come up with a plan like that, it's just like, I'm surprised. Like all these countries don't revolt. It's like, look, man, you assholes put us in this position. Now look what happens, and you got what it takes us 3 years, 5 years, and you're not going to get out of it.
No.
It's going to be a cold, hey, I guess it's, good for them, it's happening during springtime, but it's going to be a cold winter, and you're going to be starving here shortly because they can't seem to get the fields going in the Ukraine for some reason. So where are y'all going to get all your food here shortly? It feeds 25 or 30% of the world, cereals and all coming out of there. So, yeah, whatever, man. I mean, if you were gonna start a war that would, what am I trying to? What's the word? Threaten the food supply. I mean, that's the place you would do it.
Yeah.
Europeans I always argue with them, but they got a different way of thinking. I've never successfully, reached a European mind yet. But.
Yeah. Mark will be on here in a second, hopefully.
Oh, okay.
Wow, we went an hour. He's in the chat. Guess he wants to talk about Elon Musk. They say that a lot of people have been leaving, but I'm not seeing it. Like they said, a lot of people left Facebook. They didn't. They just said they did.
Yeah, this whole Musk thing, it's like one more thing to talk about, like as if I don't see how Musk. First of all, it's like you would think if you're a smart entrepreneur, you would just start your own social media company rather than paying too much for another one that's already got a toxic, culture built into it. It's just,
yeah,
I'm not quite seeing his plan.
I heard he bought it through financing. Like, how much? That's not a good way to start a business. I'm sorry. You don't start a business on loans, and I told one guy that already. He wanted to start his business on a $100,000 loan. They said, "The fuck is wrong with you? Why do you want to start on all money you don't have? That means you have to double your profits."
Yeah, I mean, if you're on a winner and you actually make it, but it's just like, yeah, why would you pay $44 billion for something that you could probably create for one or two, fresh on your own?
And it's in decline.
Yeah, it wouldn't even, it probably cost you that much. It's like, I don't, there's like a bigger political play or something going on there, which is obviously working. I mean, you see how all these, the leftist media really lost their shit. It's like, oh man, you're like fucking up Twitter and you're like fucking up our game or something. It's just like, what's the big deal? I mean, yeah, it's where you guys launch your fake, the conjured up, what's it called? Oh, damn. Producing the fake consent. It's like you start some tweet on Twitter and then AP picks it up and it becomes a story. It's like their intro into the news for some of their, and they really seem to be losing it over Twitter. It's strange.
Well, I think, as much as I hated Donald Trump, I don't think that they should have ever gotten rid of him, really, because it just says they just enforce the rules. However, there are tons of people on the platform that get away with everything, and I don't know. But that's not the first time. That's not the first time they've gotten rid of some. They've gotten rid of other countries too, like even in some of the Iranian stuff.
Yeah, it's because they've got their. It's been politicized. I mean, let's call them a leftist outlet. I mean, if it's, that'd be okay. I mean, if you want to have. Well, not as a company. I mean, I'm against the censorship and whatnot. You should have, if you want to have leftists on one side in their own group and righties on the other side, but at least they should all be able to come on Twitter. But it's this need for censorship that these people have because they don't want to enter into a debate, or they're so bad at debating they just want to have their way. You have to have this new way of just shutting everybody down.
I've always been anti-censorship, but a lot of people don't understand. If you're on the argument of free speech, people are going to say a lot of stuff you don't agree with. That's the part about free speech, and
it's always, it sorts itself out. It's like, okay, you're always, and you're going to have, nobody's ever going to get like a majority of anything, when you. I mean, if you look at any political party, it's a group of different interests. There's no overarching. Well, other than the economy and certain large-scale things, there's really no consensus. Then you fall back into your ethnic and tribal concerns and politics and whatnot. But that's all fractured. You can't get more than 5 or 10% people. If you're lucky, to get engaged in any of that shit. When you get down to that level of it.
I heard
Truth
Social
have to have their way.
Look at this shit. Truth Social is like the #1 downloaded fucking social media app. Fuck did Trump pull that off?
Yeah.
Number 12. #1 is living. #2. Okay. All right, that makes sense. All right, yeah. Yeah, Twitter isn't even in the top 10. What the fuck?
Yeah, and that other than, okay, it doesn't make sense from a business standpoint what Musk is doing, for sure. It's they're not that, hey, like you're number 10. It's just why is at the same time, why is it getting pushed in the media so hard? It's something we need to worry about.
They don't even label Twitter as social media. It's labeled as news. What the fuck?
But it seems to be the outlet that, you talk about, let's say you talk about some leftist topic, it gets tweeted around to some of their influencers, blah, blah, blah. And then a media outlet picks up what's allegedly getting talked about on Twitter. It's all about this, fake consent that they create for some topic, that we then need to talk about. It's part of their media train, if you want to call it that. But it's just like, from other aspects, like from the financial, it's like, why the hell would Musk buy this place? You know, when he could build one cheaper. Why is it so important?
How is it valued at $44 billion?
Yeah, it's just.
I was surprised there were
It's a-
Saudi investors who had more had a say in there. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, run the numbers on that. How the hell is he ever going to make any money? You know, I mean, it was great for the shareholders, I suppose. I mean, if you were a Twitter shareholder, yeah, hey, sell out, you know, get your money, I'm out of there, you know, because it was a dumpster fire anyway. But yeah, I don't get it. I mean, and if you're just butting heads, it's like, okay, it's rich guys, you know, taking over companies to show who can be the boss, and like, okay, you got an alleged. And I'm not so sure, you know, I mean, Musk has been more of a socialist than anything. I don't know that he's ever truly been like what I would call right wing, but I mean, okay, you know, he's going in there and going to bust up some lefties, and you know, at a higher level. I just don't get it. You certainly wouldn't do it that way.
I think he made a big financial mistake. It's like when the wife tells you to buy something you can't afford, and then you buy it because she told you to do it, and then you realize 10 minutes later you shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those things where he's going to realize he's going to lose money. I don't know. I like Twitter, but it's got a lot of problems. Like, why are we still limited to like text message fucking lengths? You know, what is 145 characters? There's no edit button. They try to make it an Instagram with the fucking stories, and nobody cared about that. Now the only thing that ever stayed is these groups where the people talk, and now people can donate money to you. What do you do? You know, like there's like 10 million other websites that you can do the same shit.
And they also refused to restore 2 of our accounts already.
They did? They refused?
Yeah. Said we were doing illegal stuff. We're doing tweet storms. What did they say? Broke the Twitter rules for manipulating hashtags using multiple accounts.
Is that even a rule?
I've never read that rule, but it seems to be.
Might as well just make another ABV.
Yeah. For some reason, there's like over 200 people watching this right now. It's insane.
That's weird. Usually nobody's watching. Oh god. But yeah, you know, Elon buying it for $44 billion and done in financing, that's not good for anybody. I'm sorry. He's gonna lose money there.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of surprised, but like everyone like cheering it on. Like this is the richest man on the planet. He's not going to be here to like save your human rights or something.
Well, the thing is, the thing that fucks me up, and I had a pretty in-depth, you know, conversation with my friend, you know, and we both kind of came up to, like, because there are a lot of people saying that Elon should end world hunger and stuff, but I'm like, so you got rich. Why is it his job to feed the world? Like I don't understand that argument, because like you work all your life, you make all this money to provide for your family, your employees. Why should he be feeding the rest of the world? Like that's like a philanthropist. That's what people like Rockefeller that were worth way more than. He did that mostly towards the end of his life, but most billionaires don't do that till they're at their you know, they give away a few $1 billion and said they did something, you know. But it's really not the billionaire's job to be feeding the homeless, you know. You don't hear about that too often.
No. Okay, and he responded to that himself too by saying all his companies are philanthropy already. And he's saying Tesla is battering the world with that whole electric stuff going on with climate. And he said that other company that's going to Mars is ensuring the survival of humanity. He says all these things are philanthropy already.
He's had a lot of bad ideas when he wanted to have commercialized, not commercialized space flight, but commercialized space flights for travel destinations. You know how fucking chaotic it would be if there were rockets just going down wherever? You know what I mean? Like, that's craziness.
Well, I don't think there's any business case for it yet. I mean, this whole space exploration is so expensive. It's like, how many customers are you going to have? Like,
Not
10 or
only that,
20, the richest guys in the world. That's about it. I mean, who else can afford that shit?
we're also dealing with the problem of space junk up there. Like, it's getting pretty bad to the point where, like, they're actually thinking about building something so that they can just push all the fucking shit back and burn up in the atmosphere. There's a lot of crap up there. Just shouldn't be up there.
Yeah. Well, at least in low Earth orbit for sure. Maybe on the moon. We haven't trashed that out, that bad yet. But
Not as we know of.
low Earth orbit's looking pretty bad.
Yeah, but and so that's also a thing because they also asked that of him. And then he says, but then you can already then you already know how far away they are from the normal people, right? These extremely rich, like, because then he said like, yeah, it's going to be like 100,000 or 200,000 to travel and then to Mars or whatever, which okay is not millions, but he's saying like it becomes accessible to everyone. It's like. I think like 99% of the world is not going to have access to $200,000. It's not how it works.
Nope.
Maybe in America a lot of people can get that and you can make a lot of money, but you can't get $200,000 if you're in Yemen or in Palestine or whatever. It's just not going to happen.
Well, how are you going to feed all those people on Mars? It's not like Mars has just got, stuff growing everywhere that ready to go. It is.
Not only that, it doesn't have like there's a lot of weird problems like remember when do you guys remember, and I'm not sure if you guys are any like real buffs on like astronauts, but remember when the moon astronauts were reporting they were seeing lights in their eyes, and it wasn't just like one, it was like a couple of the Apollo guys. You remember that?
Yeah, that was from
you know what that was that was something that was
great.
It's cosmic rays hitting the back part of their retina, and that would show up as light. So, and the thing is, we're finding out that there's more cosmic radiation out there that we even know about. That's a danger. What is it? Mars doesn't have like a real magnetosphere. Neither does the moon. Moon has moonquakes that we've been finding out, and there's a drastic temperature between the night and the day side. Mars sometimes goes into like what's known as a storm every once in a while, where there's just too much dust on it for weeks at a time. Other than a subterranean living, I don't know if anybody would be living on the surface of any of these planets.
No. Well, that might be, I think in a way they're probably being dishonest about the radiation that's in open space, whether or not we can really even travel there for any, length of time. Yeah. I honestly, that's the problem. They don't want to tell you that, it's like, no, you know what? There's too much radiation out there. We can't even get to these places the way things are right now.
Well, the only thing I know that stops the radiation, is certain metals and water. If you have like one to 2 feet of water surrounding you, pretty much most cosmic radiation won't penetrate through it. But you'd have to be like in a big tube filled with water, and that's extra weight that you have on your liftoff and descent.
Yeah, so heavy metals and water. Yeah, that's and what does it cost? Like $10,000 a pound to get something into space? I mean,
Yeah, just something like that.
Up,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just not enough money. It's not. There has to be a reason why they've pissed around and waited 60 years plus to go back to the moon. It's just like, come on, we should have been a lot further out than that by now. I mean, if it was accessible and available and all that, it's just like, why is it taking so long?
We've never even sent a probe to Uranus or anything. Like, finally, only in the last 5 years, we've had probes that have gone to Pluto.
What other moon seems to be interesting? Europa, right? With
Yeah, Europa, and we think that there might be there might be some form of life in some one of these moons, some form, whether it be microscopic or whatever.
well, it's more also like what the layout of the planet is, right? And what like it seems to be mostly water on there, like a giant water, like a giant ocean below the like a crust of ice on Europa. That's what they believe, right? That it's like one big ice planet, and then below the ice, it should be like a huge ocean.
Right.
Yeah. There's a few planets like that out there. Quite a few actually. That's why we think that there is microscopic life or some form of life, but probably not advanced.
But it seems like we're jumping the shark. It's like you say, it's like we're just getting probes to some of these outer planets, and yet we already have a space force. It's like, for what?
It's a waste of money, dude. There's no
Yeah,
there's no practical military application to having a military force in space. We don't even if we had an advanced, life, come here and declare war on us, we probably couldn't fight them off anyway.
No, we're screwed. If they can get here, because we sure as hell can't get there, So if they can get here, I mean, how far advanced are they? It's like we're like ants.
Yeah.
So what's the well hell, we may as well just form a federation of planets. If we're gonna have a space force, then we need a federation of planets. Even though we don't have a federation of anything right now, but let's just create it and pretend and act like we're the saviors of the galaxy. If we can be the police force of the planet, we can certainly be the police force of the galaxy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I love how he said certainly like that. Yeah. And
That's what
history books too, right? Like technically, you write like on now you can put like on Wikipedia or like in the new history book that America was the first country with a space force, with a space army.
Space Army.
Even if you don't do anything with it, like that's like if anything ever happens, like with a space force, America was the first in the history books to have a space force. Like, yeah.
I mean, logically, there's no real reason to even have one because the Air Force already does that. Like, they already have their own, they have the satellite monitoring and stuff like that. The Air Force does all that.
well, you should have seen all these MIC contractors over here because they saw it immediately, just like I saw it. It's just like, oh, wait a minute. Man, if we can make this much money on the military industrial complex on just one planet Earth, they got these cash register eyes like Space Force. Well, fuck, we can have the military industrial complex for the whole solar system, and the whole galaxy. Fuck, we can make a lot of money out of this, because that's all they're thinking of. It's like,
Yeah, we're gonna have interplanetary conflicts between Mars and Europa. Jesus Christ.
yeah. So with that, yeah. So we're gonna have to create all these. We'll have Elon Musk create all these bases and everything, and then we can get them to fight each other.
Oh, you
for no
think
good reason. I mean, just.
you think that's the
yeah.
bad thing? There's actually been a lot of talk about raising offspring on different worlds, saying that it might actually fuck up the growth process. These people might not ever be able to return to the planet where their ancestors came from. If they're born on these other planets, how can we have these realistic wars if nobody can live on each other's planets?
Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah.
key is they'll be different though, and we can use these differences against them.
Jesus.
No, but Tyler's right. I saw a movie about that, right? But I'm not sure what it's called again. But if you're like born in like a lower rate of gravity, then you can't even walk on the Earth because your body is like different. Like your spine isn't developed and whatever, like it is here.
But now go the other way with that. Let's say some guy grew up on a planet with 2 or 3 times the gravity, and he comes here, and he's a big huckster that has, he can just kick anybody's ass. He's 2 or 3 times stronger.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like the planet's giant.
we can't have that. That's a danger to Earth. These guys are getting out of hand.
Breaking all the records. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if there would. I don't know if there wouldn't have been. Honestly, I can only attribute the Space Force to Donald Trump. If Donald Trump wasn't president, I don't think it ever would have happened. Ever. There's no need for it. It's a waste of money.
I'm honestly tired. I still prefer him bombing some weird country.
Yeah.
Like the current one is doing. The Biden got the power. It's hell already again. I was never a fan of Trump, but this guy's not good either. So it's like
His son's always getting away with practically fucking murder. Not like literal murder, but his son's getting away with everything, and I can only attribute that to the CIA. The second somebody posted anything about his son, it disappears. The cases, they disappear. Like.
witnesses disappear. Everyone disappears.
Yeah.
Well, part of that is, to me, is a demoralization campaign. Always having to watch your royals or the elites over here, constantly get away with things that you yourself can't get away. It's demoralizing. It's just like, can't do anything about it. It's like they do it on purpose. They'll have a select group get away with everything just to piss everybody else off, say how unfair it is, and keeps everybody in line. Or it convinces you that you can get away with it also, but then what do you get? The boot of the law, because you're just a schmuck and a nobody, so you get the book thrown at you.
Yeah. Seriously.
It's a political trick. No, you can't we don't want to take the mantle away from Hillary either. I mean, she's the decade after decade, body list. What did they used to call it? The Clinton body count, I mean, I haven't heard that one in a while, but they're the ones that kill people, We're the true psychopaths. We're the true killers, not Biden,
He used to protest like with a huge banner. The Clinton's dead friends. That's what it was called. They had a huge red banner saying like Clinton's dead friends. What happened to Clinton's dead friends? It was like all these people disappearing around them.
We have to.
Sorry.
Something's happening with audio.
Oh, what do you mean?
Now it's better.
Oh, I was gonna say I had it right on the audio. The audio's straight there.
Okay. I don't know, these scumbag politicians and elites. It's like, when does it ever change? I don't think Elon Musk is going to be the big change.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, people sure are putting a lot of faith in him. I don't see how that one move makes that really that big of a deal. It's almost like another thing they want you to focus on as important, but I just don't see it as being important really. Not in the big scheme of things.
It wasn't the network already like collapsing for like a long time. Maybe this makes it bigger again.
But I mean, having been in different companies and seeing the different corporate cultures, I don't see how you would fix a toxic Twitter corporate culture like you've got built in right now. I mean, and then thinking you're going to make that as free speech platform. I mean, you're going to have to fire like almost everybody right off the bat. I'm not seeing his logic at all.
Yeah, it's a toxic platform in general. Spending there for a few days, if you're not used to it, at this point, it'll completely like baffle you. Definitely, it's just such a weird culture right now. Like you can't. There's like a lot of stuff you can't say either on it, even with Musk.
Oh yeah, on Twitter, yeah, you can't say everything, but you can get away with a lot more than on other platforms.
Yeah, but you don't get like a strike where you're like limited for like 7 days or 30 days. No, you just lose everything. Or at least used to be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to blow over. I mean, they're going to find out that, okay, Musk takes over and then be chaos for a while. Probably a lot of sabotage as people exit. I don't see it.
Okay, so did you guys discuss about that whole Epstein thing already, or?
No, I haven't. I haven't
No.
heard about that.
Oh yeah, because that's what he did do. And Musk, he posted like on his Twitter account, which is a huge account, he's over 90 million followers. He said, he talked about Epstein's black book. 1 second, I'll have to just give the literal statement before he sues me with 10,000 lawyers. So he said, where is their client list? Shouldn't at least one of them go down? That's what he said with Epstein. Then he said, hey, why are they already writing my suicide story?
What? For real?
Yeah, he says on his Twitter account. It says like, first he talks about the Epstein client list, shouldn't at least one of them go down? And then immediately after that he says, hey, why are they already writing my suicide story? And then like the next day he gets sued by 26 organizations, including like 3 related to George Soros.
For real?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
they're
like a whole anti-Twitter campaign targeting his advertisers. Yeah.
Yeah, they first. Well, I guess you just can't. In the leftist world, you just can't have free speech. They're just not going to have it. They got that company doing what they want. It's organized the way they want, putting out the type of spew that they want, and they don't want to lose it. I mean, they seem to have a huge investment there, politically.
Yeah, so I'm just debating myself like, okay, this is really great. A guy like this talks about this, about the Epstein black book, right? I mean, he's got the reach now, all the eyes are on him, and suddenly he signs a black book. But are they allowing him to do this? And this is just like a play? Because he wouldn't be in this scene, right? If they didn't allow him to be. I mean, you're talking about serious mobsters. Like even if you have 260 billion or something he has now, you're not going to be safe for these people. I don't think they care that much about money. Like how much you have. You won't be able to protect yourself. You will still die. That's how I think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Putin was also he also had 200 billion, and they're also like going at him pretty hard. So.
Yeah, he says he doesn't have that much money. That's a lie. I think he said he made like equivalent to $150,000 a year. That's a complete lie. That's on paper how much he has.
You mean Putin, or?
Yeah, that's what he has on paper. Everybody who knows once you get that rich, you don't have your money in actual physical assets. You put it into property.
Yeah, of course.
That way it disappears very quickly.
Yeah. You got huge palaces and everything, and there's also like this little close circle around him with the business people that probably manage some assets for him.
I just noticed that. I just noticed that on Musk's Twitter header profile. I didn't realize that's him trying to terraform Mars. Hey, you got to be dreaming, dude. It doesn't even have a magnetosphere.
Well, he's going to take care of that.
It won't even hold its own atmosphere. That's how it disappeared the first time.
Well, I'm pushing the let's remagnetize Mars. This has to be a priority.
I was gonna say good luck with that.
I think this is a big thing. I think this is a big thing. This is kind of like during the Cold War when John F. Kennedy said like we're going to the moon and everything. That they got like huge financial injections, right, in the military-industrial complex. And I'm thinking that Elon Musk has this kind of function too. That he's inspiring people to want to go to Mars, and there's going to be like a lot of more funding, corporate funding into it. But really, he's just producing missiles that can like land again, and it can be sent from the USA to like some aircraft carrier, and they can be fired in the Middle East without having to be transported by all these cargo ships and stuff. Right? They can just like lift off from the USA, land on an aircraft carrier, and they can just fire it whenever they want.
Oh no shit! I didn't think about that.
It's a military applications. So yeah, I think that's why he gets so much funding and why he's so fucking rich now. And that's also why I think he can say anything he wants. The USA military behind him is this guy. And also that satellite system, right? I mean, that's also obviously gonna have the military applications. Like mapping battlefields. So.
Oh, the tiny satellites, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of military application for those kind of things. The Starlink ones, yeah. Just think about it. If you could create 1,000 satellites that are like the palm of your hand and they got a shelf life of like a couple of years, well, that just cuts down costs, you know?
Yeah. And then he is working with the Tesla stuff with the batteries and stuff, which is necessary to create like your own a robot army on the battlefield too. So yeah, because you need them. You need fuel cells for your electronic army. Because you are, as the USA, you have a volunteer army technically, which is not going to be as big as some other armies in the world. So you're going to like replace people with robotics, and you need fuel cells, fuel. So you need better lithium-based batteries, which of course Elon Musk is going to produce with his mega factories, which you can weaponize in like what, a week. These American toy factories in World War One.
Well, he gets a lot of subsidy money, though. I mean, for the electric cars and the battery plants. I mean, he's made a lot of dough there. He gets a lot
without people knowing it, it's like using all these like amazing stories, but he's literally reshaping the entire U.S. Army in no time with this. And I was in doubt about this. I thought this was just a joke, right? Okay, this could be it. It's a theory. I have no proof that Elon Musk is doing it. Then I found out he just released a new tank with the Germans. He made a deal with the German army, and they released like a tank created by Elon Musk.
What? I didn't know that.
No.
Yeah, no kidding. Huh?
I'm sending you the link. Yeah.
All these big companies get into the military. I mean, that's where the money is. The medical and the military industrial complex.
Holy shit, that's a tank?
Yeah. It's like all these texts like bye Russia. And it has like this is like, I don't know if you played Command and Conquer in the past, the Tyler, but this is it has a double
that thing looks scary, dude.
Scary. It's like Germany and Elon Musk finally reveal new.
Bye. Holy shit! I would be scared as fuck if I saw one of those things. That looks like something out of RoboCop, dude. What the?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Nope. I ain't getting. If I saw one of those things, I would probably run the other way, dude. How many guns does that thing have? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, no way. No way. If I saw that thing, I'd run the other way. I'm sorry.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I would run the other way if I saw that.
Wow.
Bye
Yeah,
bye.
one gun's not enough. You need two, huh?
It has 1, 2. No, look at all the other ones. It has 4 in the no 8 in the front, and it has another 8 on one side, another 8 on the rear. Jesus Christ! I think it's a death machine.
Yeah, and you have the robotics, you have the missile technology, satellite technology. What else is he making, right? It is, yeah, so this guy is going to be funded through the roof. He's going to be the first trillionaire. Okay, we shouldn't forget that Twitter, platforms like Twitter, if he works with the U.S. Army or whatever, are now also can be utilized by the U.S. Army. That is an information war. It's like 90% of the deal these days.
Yeah, I was gonna say that even Microsoft has its little fingers in the military.
No.
I mean, I got to question how much ammo that tank can actually hold. I mean, if you got that many guns, you're going to be ripping through a lot of ammo, man.
You think, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just, past a certain point, it's like you can't even shoot all them things at the same time.
You think? Oh,
And it
God.
looks impressive, but how the hell do you...
That's what I
What
would
kind of
say.
convoy do you need behind it to keep the ammo going? It's...
Watch it. It's fully electric. It doesn't need anything. Well,
And then, boy, yeah, if it's battery powered, and that thing gets hit, you're going to have a hell of a fire, man. I mean, you seen these Tesla cars when those battery banks short out?
Yeah.
It damn near blows the car in half. I mean, it's just,
I know these technicians are even scared to touch these batteries because they don't. Yeah. That's not a good thing. The Tesla cars.
No, they're not.
Energy levels have gotten so high. Yeah, it's scary, man. It's like,
I've even seen the lithium-ion batteries. When they explode, they're like little bombs.
yeah, you see what these high power ones are doing on some of these laptops. It's like, but even cell phones, if they go off in your pocket, you're lucky to get them out of your pocket before it burns the shit out of your leg. It just,
Remember those Samsungs that were blowing up in people's faces? The Galaxy?
think so?
No, the Samsung Galaxy.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, there was one of them that had it bad.
Yeah, they were catching on fire when people were talking on them.
I had one of these fucking vape pens go up on me, man. The thing fucking Chernobyl as it was charging in my hand, it's like, what the hell?
I've had that happen to me. Yeah, with vape pens,
I
yeah.
had to go in the bathtub, man. The son of a bitch got so hot, I thought it was going to light off. I was like, God damn, man.
So do we have any updates for Julian?
Yeah. Okay. So we have to wait for Priti Patel to give the final decision, which should be there within a week or something. Because what was it, the 17th or something? Let me see.
His wife has a petition going around right now. I just saw that.
So yeah, May 17th. Yeah. So yeah, Priti Patel can decide on the 17th, and until then we have time to convince her to not extradite him. Yes.
Hey, nothing good will happen. Nothing good will happen. I don't understand at this point. Like, it's just cruel what they're doing to him at this point. They don't really have him on anything, and charges he's being accused of are fake. It's no hacking.
Yeah. Okay, so they're making him an example. I think that's how I feel. That all the other journalists are all scared now to do anything. Like they don't want to write anymore. They're just scared to be thrown in a prison cell like he is. It sounded convenient with all the stuff that happened over the last 2.5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, Stella Morris, I just RT'd it. What was it? She has like a petition going around. What was she saying? I never get updates from her account. She must be shadow banned or something.
They wouldn't do that at Twitter, would they?
Well, yeah. Oh, petition. Yeah. Which. Hopefully it's not change.org. Please tell me. Oh, it's something in French. I can't read it.
Okay, well, granted, he is getting a lot of support from many politicians too, and he is getting support from journalists. Like all these journalist organizations are all standing up for him, and organizations like Amnesty International and whatever, right? They're standing. They do stand. They express their support, right, pretty much. But what can these people do except for speak out and maybe help raise some money, because they're technically not stopping anything.
No, they're not.
So it's also safe to just shout your support for him, right? I mean, for your own audience, you had to keep some kind of credibility or something. Like, you just shout, "We support Julian Assange. He's the greatest guy." And but then in the end, they're not doing much to change it. That's the thing. I wish it was different. The only thing, the good thing is that there was this whole Assange DAO, right? They raised a lot of money for his defense. So if he gets pushed to the USA, his defense will have a lot of money to fight in court. I mean, they could do that. But I'm less worried about the money than about his health. So.
Yeah.
Because he's not doing okay. I mean.
Oh God.
Well, you normally don't get anywhere, whether it's England or here, by begging the government to do the right thing. That really doesn't go too far. Not just in his case, but in general, it's trying to get a corrupt court to do the right thing just doesn't happen.
How about we know that, right? But that sometimes it surprises me too that there's a lot of people still having their hopes up with the whole lobbying to politicians kind of thing. You're talking about the right to press freedom for everyone. I mean, at some point, when citizens realize that the politicians aren't listening, well, then they actually aren't representing us anymore. So, take action. Bring new people in. Do civil arrests against these people. Put them in prison. I mean, there are also like laws that and these laws aren't written all the time by powerful people. I mean, some human rights and some circumstances in our society. Normal people, like working class people, also fought for hundreds of years for these rights. They never wanted to give these rights to us, right to free speech or whatever. Or we had to fight for hundreds of years for that, and you're just throwing it away in a matter of a few years, and asking politicians to please help you protect these laws that they never gave you. They never gave you these rights. You had to demand them with full force revolutions. Yeah.
Well, it shows you who's in charge, right? I mean, you can fight for hundreds of years, like you say, since what, 12, 15,
Mm.
and in the English system, and then, yeah, it all gets wiped out in less than a decade. But it just shows you who's in power. It's just like, the true power lies at the top, and they don't care.
Yeah.
They really don't care about the law.
Like they forgot that what is it 500 years ago that you would be burned at the stake for not having the same religious beliefs as them. So yeah, that is not like thousands of or 10,000 of years. It is 500 years, and then you come out of feudalist systems and you have colonization, you have slavery all over the world. That is less than 300 years ago, where you have still had slavery all over the world. All over the world. I'm saying 200 years ago. I think it was abolished in like the 19th century, slavery in most of the countries. And even then it still exists in some countries, but yeah. But like, legally it was abolished less than 200 years ago. That is how many generations is that? 5 or 6 generations or something.
Yeah, it's a recent development, yeah.
Yeah. And it's not that any of these politicians did that for us, right? No, they were just thrown out by normal people.
Well, if you look at these politicians, I mean, most of them are a bunch of narcissists. You got the psychopaths thrown in there. I mean, they are not the ones that are going to be doing things for you. It's only the revolution of the people that seems to get anything done, because the government and the military is not going to do what they're supposed to. It doesn't seem to matter what country it is on the planet. The freedom doesn't come from that angle. It's rare that it ever does.
No, the politicians feed on unpopular opinion. So you first have to have the actual revolution, and you first have to have the actual people, like the majority of people, standing up for stuff, for politicians to even follow you, because that is the popular opinion, and they can be elected if they support it. Like, they're not going to take the lead on it. Like, you have to take the lead on it as normal people. And then when popular, of course, they're going to say like, yeah, of course, we support it all the time already. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to stick their neck out, number one. But at the same time, it used to be, you hear these things like, well, if we could just get the numbers out there and protest and get the numbers out there, you'd be heard. Well, now you've proven, with all these giant protests in different countries that doesn't work either. It's like there's another agenda going on that's more important than what the people want. And that's becoming clear again.
Yeah.
And then you have to treat and then in order for the people to do anything, you have to treat them so bad for so long before they'll get up off their ass and do anything. It's just like, okay, whatever. It's only as they're dying or they can't find any food that they finally fight back. It's just because they're not serious about their rights, when they have them. It's just like they're not interested in defending them when it matters. So it's only when you're like on your last breath that you finally decide to fight back. It just takes too long. You're not getting anywhere.
But that is it. That is exactly what you're saying. Like when the people can't get their food anymore and stuff, and when they're brought in that kind of situation, then suddenly they stand up. But it takes so much effort to then stop that whole system that's already built. It's like you have to do it before that whole situation is created. Because
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't get. I mean, you can't get anybody hardly interested in it now. As long as people are still, especially America. I mean, as long as they're doing somewhat, okay, that they're not interested in doing any of that. They might see it coming and they might fear it or whatever, but until it happens, they're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah. No, and it's the same. Like, okay, so that's another easy example is that the social media stuff again. Like now you have like Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and stuff running everything, and now like when there's now this whole censorship going on, people are going to speak out and say like, yeah, we need more free speech and everything. But it's already we are already at the point that all the other social media and stuff are all like tiny little things now because a few big ones run everything, and now you can demand some free speech and whatever, but you're not suddenly going to bring back that social media that is on the same level as these three big ones. Like, so that it will take so much effort because it's already the system is already in place, and that's the problem. Like, you need to do it before it's like you should have done it before companies like Facebook and stuff took all control over the whole decentralized internet. Because I remember the internet being very different. Okay, you used to go to social media, you visit these random websites with crazy stuff on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was like millions of little islands, right? And then suddenly it becomes like these few big countries on the internet, and all the little islands get like flooded, disappear underwater. Yeah. How are you going to bring it back? That's what we're saying with this whole system now. Like, how are you going to change it back if you're letting them build everything, and then you're saying like, oh, we're going to protest and stop it now, and it's going to take what decades to the same. It's going to take hundreds of years again, maybe, to even get some rights back.
Yeah, and you don't have that much time. You know, whatever agenda they're pushing, I mean, they're pushing it at lightning speed here.
Maybe they're just
And,
like
and
going
it's
for
obvious
the
they don't.
biblical,
they don't, you know-
biblical one.
Yeah, at some point here, well, you know, the internet was open, but you see what happens. It's like they see something that's got, hey, wait a minute, we can't have all these people getting together and organizing on these social media platforms. You know, we have to turn it into this propaganda outlet and jam up this organized effort that the people are coming up with and turning this into. So, I mean, it's just obvious. At some point, they figured out that all these individuals having their free speech was actually a threat, and they've had to get rid of it. Or scramble it up so bad that it's not even worth using. You know, kick everybody off and
Yeah. Well, I guess at some point they realized they were not yet able to like completely control the whole psyche of humans, and that they would still try to have some actual free speech. They wouldn't like complete. They wouldn't. You know how it goes now that people use their free speech, and many people, and they think like whatever they're saying is actually their real opinion, while it is already the opinion is given to them based on like these narratives created by this media. That people actually believe it is their own opinion, but it's not. It's like because your opinion is based on all that bullshit stuff these big media put in your head, and then you're basing your opinion on it, and you say like, this is my free speech. So, but I think at some point they realize that there's always going to be a percentage of people that doesn't fall for that stuff, and yeah, you still have to silence everyone.
yeah, but it's a small percentage. I mean, just like this, all these lockdowns, you know, how they got away with that globally is beyond me, man. I mean, that shows you right there. I mean, you were, you know, the population in general was getting out of hand. They wanted too many freedoms. They you know, and the people at the top they can't have that, you know. They have to keep their thumb on you and let you know that that's what's happening. It's very important for them to let you know that we're abusing you, you know. And then everybody just goes, oh, okay, oh, you know, moves on and puts their fucking mask on and all the rest of it. It's just like, whatever. The compliance on that is what's really going to backfire in the people's face. It's like you fell for the scam, and you were too compliant, and now they're really going to stick it to you.
Yeah.
This world's just getting more crazy every day I wake up. Really is.
Yeah, it is. And at some point, it even becomes demotivating. Like, I don't even want to be on social media and stuff anymore. Like, I used to be super active the whole time. I'm just not so anymore. It's like, whenever you, like, step out of line, you lose everything. Like, they just get rid of your accounts. Like it's nothing. And you're allowed to repeat all that weird stuff, be a little bit of a dissident or whatever, but you can't do the real stuff anymore.
Well, you just post like me. You just post stuff that, like, either you post cat stuff or just stuff that nobody understands and nobody can argue with you because nobody understands what the hell you're talking about.
That's right. I see that.
You start talking about advanced science and nobody knows what the hell you're talking about anymore.
People can't even. The people don't understand. The people can't mathematics anymore. They can't. It doesn't happen. And like people can't do this stuff. I'm surprised if people were able to like write like a normal sentence anymore. Like that's not possible. The world changed.
Oh, you know what's weird is when people I know the normal acronyms, but now these like kids got these like little acronyms for everything, like BBD, and I'm like, what the hell are you guys talking about?
It's like, shut up, guys. Like, the basics of communication is keeping it as simple and clear as possible.
Yeah, I understand like the few acronyms, but now some of these kids are just like, what, are you guys even talking anymore? Like, the hell does that even mean?
Well, appealing to intelligence, I think a number of people have proven that it doesn't work. There's not enough people out there that actually have an intelligence that are willing to use it, that you can get anything done to them. Because you can't appeal to intelligence. I mean, you can still throw out the truth and all that, but you just have to realize that only goes so far, and it's not very far.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of people out there with not a lot of intelligence. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and you can herd people, to an extent, a lot better with fear, for sure. I mean, that works good. The government's good at that. And then it all breaks down. You got somebody fearful. You can't talk logic to them. That's over. I mean, there's just... And then guys like Alex Jones, show you that, hey, you can even scream at them. And even that only goes so far. I mean, it's just, there's no way to reach these people. They're just too fucking dumb. They don't care. They're lazy, apathetic.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Naive, and then they're not sophisticated enough to even understand what's being done to them politically. I mean, they're just, man, you're so far behind the curve. It's just like, geez, whatever.
That sounds like a lot of humanity, unfortunately.
Yeah, we discussed before that at some point there was this whole switch. Like, there is hundreds of years of revolution, and politicians used to follow the popular opinion, but now they create the popular opinion. It's like, you stand up for your rights for hundreds of years, and you fight like an establishment and everything, and you fight really hard. At some point, the politicians are going to say, okay, well, this is the public opinion. Of course, we secretly always supported this already, so you can just vote for us, right?
Okay, so just in case you I did not let anybody know, I can only stream for like another 20 minutes. But
Okay.
All right.
yeah.
Is there anything you missed with the subjects? Or?
No. I just put some subjects in there last minute. I had to do some grocery shopping before. I didn't have a chance.
What is that?
There's
about
plenty to talk about anyway.
Yeah.
What is that about crypto stuff?
Oh, AK was working on something, and I was just putting it in there because AK was working on a story. some scammer, but I'm not gonna blow the cookies on that one for him.
Okay. I don't know, the Roe v. Wade shit.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous, dude. If it wasn't for like abortion, I would like be stuck with my ex forever. So it's like a good thing. Trust me.
Damn.
She like comes to me one day and she's like passed the fuck out, and she goes, "I'm addicted to heroin again." I go, "No shit," you know, the fuck. And she goes, "Oh yeah, and I'm pregnant." I'm like, "Great."
Yeah, well, it's also a part of the greater attack on bodily autonomy and the right to privacy, or at least like medical privacy and health privacy. But yeah, that too.
I'm like, dude, like it's all fine and dandy, you know, until, you know, like, who's gonna be paying for all these kids that they don't in these states that don't want abortions? You know, it's like, okay.
Well, that's the point. In a lot of instances, they just want the workers, you know.
We don't have enough money to go around for like more orphanages and, you know, stuff like that.
But that's the workforce increasing, you know. In one extreme of the whole, like, you know, banning abortions, you want more people going into the workforce that are poor Black and brown people, and then on the other end of that spectrum, you have the like super abortion enthusiasts like cough cough Margaret Sanger, who's a fucking racist ass eugenicist, who's literally like, oh yes, we want all the poor people to get abortions, please. So, yeah.
Yeah, tell me about it.
That's that Planned Parenthood stuff too, right?
Well, yeah, I mean...
Planned Parenthood. And, like, I'm pro-choice, but fuck Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, like, I've been there before, like, several times because of some accidents, and the first thing they want to push on you is, like, Medicaid and Medi-Cal papers and all that, and I'm just like...
Yeah, they're very pro corporatized healthcare over there, and they enjoy having a monopoly on being able to do abortions. And again, as I'll reiterate this, their founder is a fucking eugenicist. So.
Yeah, that's one of those topics. I mean, it has, you know, multiple angles. You know, at the same time, it keeps, you know, the political divide going. You know, there's the like you say, you know, their ability to sell all these fetal tissues, and they got a monopoly on the killing and the selling of the parts and all that. I mean, it's entrenched now. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my big thing though is just like I don't want to be forced to have to pay for children that the moms and dads don't want. You know, that's just too big of a load for society. You know, it's like, and then there's no punishment for these people for doing what they've done. You know, they don't get sterilized. They don't have any penance in jail. You know, they just go out and do it again and be good baby mamas and baby daddies. And it's just, I mean, there's no real solution. You know, the killing of the baby is wrong, but I mean, you know, it's like, what else are you supposed to do? You know, raise some kid for somebody that some mom and dad that don't even want them. It just too much to ask.
Well, for me, I told you there's a magic number for me. You know, it's like, you know, they're not really, for me, they're not really people until they're, you know, kicking. So like most states don't even let you abort that far into a pregnancy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the original Roe v. Wade decision, it broke up like allowable abortion by trimester. So like in the instance of the first term, they're like, oh no, like you can't do anything with this shit. Like that's all open. But like, for instance, like Tyler was saying with the late term stuff with the third trimester, they didn't ban it, but they gave states the opportunities to like regulate it if they saw fit. So, and that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, for me, aborting that late into a pregnancy, for me, that's a little too far. You know, I mean, in the first
I
few
think
months.
for a lot of people, it's too far. If I'm being honest, I don't know. Or
I mean,
know.
it's like
'Cause I'm a
it's already
girl
it's,
thing.
it's already kicking. It's already, you know, it's already responding
Yeah.
to stimuli. It's pretty much alive at that point. You know, but at that point,
Yeah.
then you're doing something wrong. But then I'm just like, you know, there are some instances medically where, you know, a woman will have to terminate a pregnancy because there's something seriously wrong with the child. You know, there might be that stuff that happens, but you know, like. But to leave it in the decision in the hands of the lawmakers and the people who don't have to experience this shit, then that's just a fucked up thing, you know? Like,
yeah,
Like,
no.
if there are a million
Of
and
a
one
fucking
reasons,
state.
yeah, everybody just says, oh, it's the rape. They use the rape argument. Okay, well, the rape argument is actually people have said that's only like less than 1% of abortions. It's actually not true. It's actually probably much higher. Just doesn't get reported as much. But you know, for medical reasons to terminate a pregnancy, there's like 1,000 reasons why medically. Sometimes the fetus will be killing the mother, or she has an ectopic pregnancy and didn't go see a doctor for 8 months for some weird reason, and it's going to burst through her. You know, there's like 1,000,001 reasons why I can think of to terminate a pregnancy. It's just like, at some point, like, why do we leaving this decision up to lawmakers? Like, what you do with your own body is up to you, really. I mean, I've always had that attitude, and a lot of people don't agree with me because I'm like pro drug too. But I'm like, what you do with your own body is your own. It's up for me. I don't care as long as you're not hurting me. Like, I don't give a fuck what you're doing. You know?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, bodily autonomy is something which transcends, you know, whichever partisan side of the aisle is trying to profit off said issue. You know, it transcends whether you care about abortions or whether you care about not getting an experimental gene therapy injected into you. Like, you know, it should cover both of those things.
Well, unfortunately, healthcare is not a right in this country, and that's something that I've been saying it has to change.
Oh yeah.
Healthcare is not a right. It's not, at least it's not explicitly written into the Constitution, and that's something that needs to change. And I don't understand. I do understand why the argument never gets that far, but healthcare should be a right in this country. It's a privilege, not a right. Mm-hmm. Well, Americans pay the most for medical procedures than any other country in the world, and for medicines too.
Yeah. And for shitty fucking medicines too.
Well, yeah. You know how much? You know what the 2022 price. You know how much on average it costs for you just to sit down in an ER bed. Guess what the magic number is.
Just to stand in the ER bed.
No, sit in the bed. Sit in the bed.
$40K.
No, it's actually $3,500. That's the average price, just to sit in it. That doesn't include all the other stuff that's on you. You could spend 30 minutes on a bed, get like 4 tests, you'll walk out with a $12,000 bill without insurance.
Well, it's like they privatize everything with regards to healthcare. I mean, you go, like, say you get a procedure to get screws in your back. They charge you for staying in the bed. The doctor charges you. They charge you for the individual screws getting put in your back. They charge you for the anesthesia that you get put on. They charge you for the stitches that sew up your back. Like, yeah.
Well,
you rack up these ridiculous prices for everything.
It's actually not entirely the medical industry per se, and I've been on the other end of this argument. A lot of times, like, we have these things, you know, there used to be these things called ICD-9 codes, and now we've gone to the ICD-10 codes, which are a little more in depth. And the reason they had to get more in depth, and this is the fucked up part, is because the insurance companies were lowballing and not paying their part of the medical costs. And so they had to get more in depth with these coding, but you've just created this culture where everything is 1,000 times more expensive than it should be, even at its base price. And it's not entirely, I would say most of it revolves around pharmaceutical research and insurance company lobbyists. That's majority of where most of this expensive shit comes from. I mean, but we're totally off topic, but but there's a lot of politics and a lot of lobbyists involved in the medical community that just keeps this fucking wheel going. You know, it's unfortunate. You know, we live in a country where people go broke trying to fight cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm telling you
Well, I
what.
mean,
I'm telling you one thing. CBD
Yeah.
is not gonna get rid of your cancer. It's not. That's.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that much is. Yeah.
What did Bob Marley died of? What was it? He died of like, what was it, skin cancer, and he smoked weed all his life. Or is
I
it-
mean, well, that's up for contention, you know. It's, they're, I contend that there's some nefarious actors involved in what gave him that skin cancer.
yeah. But I mean, it's like you leave these decisions up to the lawmakers, and they don't know these people who are pushing these laws and these political activists who are, I don't want to label it, but I am going to label it as partially religious driven rather than logical reasoning. But these are medical decisions. Like no legit medical practitioner is honestly going to kill a born child or anything else. But there's these people, they don't understand.
Hey.
These people don't understand
Caveat, hey,
these
caveat,
life.
caveat.
Yeah, these life
if they're
and
in Yemen,
yeah.
if they're in Yemen, if they're in Syria, if they're in Somalia, if they're in the Congo, if they're in Haiti, well, you get
Well, these
the
aren't.
war.
Yeah, but a lot of these other, you know, like when you get into the medical community, you have these like, you know, these ethical laws. There's ethical, and there's not usually moral laws, but they're ethical rules that you have to abide by. And you know, unfortunately, you know, doing the best for the patient is always comes first. And you know, whatever, it's not always what the patient thinks. Sometimes you need to tell the patient what they need to hear. But why should the decision of taking a child that doesn't have a chance in hell of living away from the parent, when they know that it's not going to even live past a week past once it's due? What's the point? You know, you're going to see a lot of these back alley abortions come back, and there's going to be a lot of people in the emergency room, you know, not getting the proper care that they need, or bleeding to death out of their uterus, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Nah, I mean, you're right. Like, banning abortion, it won't actually stop abortions. It'll just stop safer abortions. So,
I just don't understand why it's even an issue. Like we got so much more shit going on in the world.
well,
and
that's
that-
the point. It's because they need that wedge issue. They need to take that little bit of like a serious issue that's got a slight social tinge to it. So that way Democrats can fundraise off it, Republicans can fearmonger off of it, and the people behind the scenes can go, tee, we can take away their bodily autonomy and right to privacy with this. And we can also distract them from the fact that, I don't know, we just fucking sent $33 billion to some Nazis in Ukraine.
That's what I'm saying. We got a guy that's flashing his nukes left and right, saying, you know, back off. We have COVID still in the background. We have multiple crises going around the world. Antarctica has had its hottest temperature ever. Like, we got so many more issues, and you guys want to talk about this? You guys want to fight this shit? Oh, and the don't say gay stuff. Like, come on, dude. Like we got bigger stuff to deal with rather than this. But unfortunately, society has become stupid to the point where we're arguing about retarded stuff that shouldn't even be an issue. I'm just saying.
Well,
That's the
to
word
be
retarded.
fair-
We're going to be bad now.
Oh, because I said the R word. Yeah, my bad.
If it makes you feel any better, Tyler, I think that society has always been stupid.
Oh, yeah.
As the Greeks and Romans told us, they were fucking bastards too. So,
God.
Democracies lead to tyranny. They knew that in 500 BC. You can't let the average Joe vote for things because he'll fuck it up every time. You know.
Like, it's like my same argument with like drugs. Why are drugs illegal? They go. I asked a cop this once, and he says, because they're legal." I said, "Well, why are they illegal?" The cop didn't have an answer to it. So, like, why should anybody be enforcing this shit if you don't know why it's wrong? Like, oh, these decisions for abortion should be left up to a medical professional and the parents. Nobody else. Oh God.
Well, it used to have certain bounds. I mean, not like they were.
When my neighbor goes to his house and shoots up heroin, do I care? No, I don't give a fuck. It doesn't affect me. Like as long as he ain't driving a car and he's not smacking around his kids, I don't care.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying. It's like I don't. We got bigger things in this world to be worried about than what people are doing in a doctor's office.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. Like, I'm personally not a supporter of abortion, but still, the right for people to choose is way more important than what my opinion or what anyone else's opinion is. It's their right to choose, so it shouldn't even be debating it. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. It's up
Yeah.
to you. It's up to
I am.
Yes, right.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't even up to about 100 years ago where women were still dying from childbirth, and now we've gotten to this technology where you can get so much further. But it's just like,
And now women are still dying during childbirth.
yeah, that does, yeah. Well,
Great job, technology.
Well,
You fucking dickheads.
globally, not much changed. I mean, when you're talking about what happens in a few countries in the West where standards are getting better, they say, still most of the world's standards are not that good.
hey guys, we got like 4 minutes. Is there any other topics we wanted to talk about?
I do want to say, we have still the 17th to convince Priti Patel not to extradite Julian Assange to the U.S.
Priti Patel, don't be a pretentious cunt.
Yeah.
She's just doing her job,
True.
just following orders.
I think regardless, Julian won't come to the U.S. for another year or so at least. I think there's still avenues in which they can drag it out via, Priti Patel dragging it, whether she herself drags it out, and then whether after that the legal team appeals to like a European human rights court, and then whether like the British are like, oh no, Brexit happened, we're not going to listen to your human rights court, and then they end up extraditing Assange anyways. Yeah.
Well, okay, so that technically is a way for the UK to get out of extraditing him, right? If they actually don't really want it, but they're put under pressure by the USA, for example, that they can leave it to the European Human Rights Court, and then if they decide like extradition is not allowed or whatever, then the UK is not going to extradite him, and then it's going to be the decision of the European Human Rights Court, and they have a little bit more leverage over the USA, I guess. They're bigger community.
I want to believe that, but also the U.S. threatened to sanction families of the ICC because they finally said they were going to investigate war crimes in Afghanistan.
Oh,
so
Bush.
I'm not too hopeful.
Yeah, because Bush still has a case out there with the ICC. So.
Yeah, well, in that case, the U.S. would have to send like an army in, because I don't think the European Human Rights Court, which is not the same as the European Union, by the way. This is a different thing. Just I have to clarify that the European Human Rights Court has Switzerland, has Russia on it too.
You guys got 1 minute. 1 minute. Do you guys want to say something?
Ooh. Commander X, sentencing hearing, June 28th. I blanked on anything else I was going to add to that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too. I didn't even know that was coming up.
Yeah, well, it's June 28th. We're hoping that he can get out, like, you know, with the most, like, maybe a fine, but we're really hoping we can get out. So if y'all can spread the word on that. And then I know Truman is helping with the Yellow Ribbons for X thing. Like, he's collecting names for that. And then me and Keith, we go to the court hearings in person, so we can, like, actually put the stuff up there. So check out Truman's page. I think he put a post up about Yellow Ribbons for X. But yeah, June 28th, please. Well, I'd tell you to tune in, but they closed the fucking Zoom hearings because they're intransparent cons. But anyways, yeah.
All right. And with that, we'll roll out with the credits.
Make sure to spay neuter all your politicians and lobbyists and military contractors and royals and bankers.